Shit. Hello, and welcome to the Simp to Pimp podcast. I am your host, Max. It's been about 2 years since I did an episode, but now we're yep, no worries. Hello, and welcome to the Simp to Pimp podcast. My name is Max. I it's been a while since our last episode, but a lot has changed. I got a studio now, and taking this a lot more seriously. I had a guest planned for today, but uh, that was canceled. I was going to talk about UFC, but that already started like 20 minutes ago. So that'll be maybe a different episode. But, my book's been out. My book's been out for 2 years. Um, Living out in Austin. And, we're having a blast. We're figuring it out. It's been 2 months. I lived here for 2 months now. It has been different. There's like, when you travel around America a lot, there's a lot of different things you pick up on, especially if you don't stay for very long. But, I started my journey in Tampa, Florida. I have family who live in New Orleans. I have family that live here in Austin actually now. I worked out in Reno, Nevada. I checked out San Francisco Bay Area a lot when I lived there for 2 years. I traveled plenty of places before that, and I've lived in Austin now. I got a job and everything. I'm working out here, and it's like definitely when I first came here 3 years ago, it hasn't. It was not as big, or it didn't seem as big. Um, right after COVID, because they just transplanted. It seems like a lot of people just transplanted straight from California to find a city in Texas, and it takes a while for people to get used to how Texas lives and then how people from California live, and then visitors, and then like highly ambitious and intellectual people, like and then young yuppies, young unmarried professionals. This is like one of those cities where it's very common for people who don't really care about socializing, don't really care about um, meeting new people, and just want to be successful. And the way they view success is through their career or professionalism or some sort of corporate ladder climbing. So it's still a very young city, and the way that people deal with their problems is very, very interesting, and it works. And to be fair, it seems like it's working for a lot of these people. I don't want to get into stories yet, but there's there's this city. There's like Portland, I guess, is a big one too, and Dell, Intel, and there's a bunch of other cities that are the young professionals are trying to like get into, that that they think will help them with their career, but you're just there's a lot of different culture shocks, and you don't really deal with the same kind of people in those areas, especially when you're just new, when you don't have any friends, and you're going there professionally with like coworkers or people that you knew from work or something like that is totally different than building building a lifestyle that you want to live, or people you want to surround yourself with and want to feel at home with. So Austin seems to still be working on that, in my opinion. But obviously, I've only been here 2 months, so I don't know everything. But um, I think it. I think when it grows, when like Austin as a city can like live a little bit more cohesively, it still seems like a lot of clashes. There's still shootings, every other week or so in this city. But there's there's a willingness. A lot of these people, a lot of these professionals, a lot of this younger crowd, they want to like believe in a future. They want to find um, that future that they can visualize that will be better than it is right now. And I think as long as they continue on that path, and as long as they're like working on themselves in a healthy way, it seems like they are. Seems like a lot of people are into fitness here. A lot of people are into mixed martial arts here, or they're curious about it. At least they're not maybe not into it, but they want to like step their feet into it. And it's pretty inspiring to see. It's comedy. Comedy's the same way over here. They're doing they got Kill Tony, obviously. I guess he's been here for a minute. And then the Mothership, and then there's like a lot more comedy clubs out here. Then when I was doing the scene in Tampa, it was like three places you could go every week, but it was every week, and you had a chance to go on stage, 5 minute sets, and that was like pre-COVID. But there's just it's young. It's like people are just experimenting. They're just throwing everything at the wall, and they're just trying to figure out how it will work, and they're determined to make it work. They want to make it work, obviously, and it's pretty fascinating to see. You just have to we'll see where it goes, And there's a lot of money getting into it too. It seems like there's like studios you can rent, and plenty of benefits with it. It's really interesting. It feels like a home for the creative mind right now over in Austin. So that was Austin. That's my little assessment for the last 2 months. But we can get into we can just get into what I was thought about the fights. I already bet everything. The fights already started, and then I guess before we get into that, just because it doesn't really matter, uh, the Rick and Morty just ended. I'm obviously a pretty big Rick and Morty fan. I think I've mentioned them, or at least I post about them a lot on several of my accounts or whatever. And it just ended with. They always do this with their last episode, where it's just like a transformation of Morty, where Morty's like learning something else. They did this last couple seasons, and it's interesting. It's they almost always try to save like their best episode for last, and this one was obviously about death. Uh, Most people probably haven't watched it, but it's about just like regret, or how people, you know, typically regret their family, or regret like how their life is going, and then they want to have, and then when you die, you hear all this appreciation from funerals from people that would never talk about it to your face, or like realize what they took for granted and stuff like that. And Morty starts bouncing between the dimensions, and he was trying to figure out. And it's just a very interesting episode. I just saw it today, so I was trying to watch it. This is like typical for me with Rick and Morty right now. Is like I'll watch the first 5 minutes of the episode. And I'm like, this is slop, and then I'll turn it off, and then I'll get like a free subscription or something where they have the actual Rick and Morty episode, and it's like easier to watch and stuff, because I was like streaming it illegally, and I'd watch it for 5 minutes. I'm like, this is slop. And then I would watch it, and I'd be like, "Oh, this is. I could see where they're going with this. This is very interesting. This is pretty cool." And I definitely felt that with the last episode. Of course, I felt like that the the season before that with I believe it was the season before that where they have the hole in the Denny's bathroom. That's like super scary or something, and that was obviously a very trippy and funny episode for me as well. Now for the fights, um, I used to live in Tampa, and there's a co-main. The co-main fight is between a guy who still trains out of Tampa. His name is Billy Quarantillo, Billy Q. That was the gym. I went to his gym. Well, it's Matt Arroyo's gym for Gracie Tampa South, but he's like one of the top UFC fighters for the lightweight division now. I think he's in the lightweight division, 155. I'm pretty sure that's lightweight. Um, and he's coming in fighting a 41-year-old Diego Ferreira. I got to look it all up now. Sorry, guys. But Billy's still only 37. They're both coming off losses, I believe. Or no, so he's fighting a 41-year-old Diego Ferreira. Billy Quarantillo, 37. Of course, Ferreira has a 4-inch reach advantage, Billy just, but also Diego just lost to Alexander Hernandez, who Billy beat. So I'm pretty high on Billy Quarantillo, Billy Q, even though even though it's like co-main. I got to get all the stats up again because I forgot everything. But he I like Billy Q in this fight. Oh, because he's the underdog. Because he is technically the underdog. He's like plus 230 or something like that. And then Gamrot is little bit of an underdog as well because he's fighting a 6 foot tall uh, guy. He's only lost one time. Last four of his 5 fights have ended in the first round. Killian Salkid, 26 years old, 6 foot tall. And Matthews Gamrot obviously is 35 years old at 5'8", and I think he just fought pretty well. So those are like end of the night fights. Obviously, Ty Miller's undefeated. He's coming in. He's 6'2", fighting at welterweight against like Billy Ray Goff, who is who's like 5'8". You can look that up right now. 5'8". He's listed as 5'8" versus 6'2". 77 inches on Ty Miller versus 72-inch reach. So he looks a little bit favored there. And I post most of these on my Discord. You can reach out and maybe I can invite you to my Discord if that is something that you're interested in. There's obviously a whole card of fights, but those are the only fights I'm really interested in looking at. Let's see. There's like, I got a dog. I have a dog. She is 2 years old now. Her name is Shamu. She's a husky. She is hilarious. Huskies have like so much personality. Not that like other dogs don't, but huskies are just like they love the socializing, they love the pack, they love like interacting with as many dogs and people as they can, and they're always curious. Very similar to like a golden retriever type, but they're just like they're like beautiful to look at too. She gets a compliment every day I take her out. She gets a compliment about how beautiful she is. That is it's another thing, another update of my life. So, I was looking at statistics of like how unsocialized like this lower generation, like the generation younger than me, they're called Gen Z, and then there's Gen Alpha behind that, and how they got affected by COVID. Like this 2 year stunt, and it was really longer than that. I don't even know if we're out of COVID still. It's been 6 years, and there's like, you see more masks. You're still people wearing masks and stuff. They just like that whole socialization uh, kind of got wiped out by a lot of people. There's people in high school that, like, they couldn't finish out their high school careers. A lot of people, socialized playing sports and stuff, and that was all canceled. People in like, and then the younger generation, the Generation Alpha, was in like elementary school, and they can't talk to people. They had to isolate and stay 6 feet away from people, and parents would like lock them in their rooms. Just this whole social experiment, especially, seems like it definitely happened in America. I don't know how serious the rest of the world took it. It looked like the rest of the world took it pretty seriously as well, but it's like sad to see. There's like, I just went out with a 21-year old. He just started drinking like a week ago, and I wanted to just like show him what it's like to go out and go to like an event, hit on girls and stuff. Because I'm 30 years old now, but I thought it was like one of those skills of like being an adult, being a man, where you just like you need to do it, even if you need to like hit on girls and aim your life towards something that you actually aim your life goals of marrying a beautiful woman towards somebody that you actually find attractive. If you find somebody like at a grocery store, do you know how to like talk to them and befriend them? At least how you know how to make friends. Do you know how to uh, socialize, invite people to parties, host a party? You know, these all seem like not even needing to be explained to the older generations, but like to the younger generations, it's such a foreign concept. It seems like, and they have that through like, and it just got blocked by us by putting fluoride in the water, putting like different chemicals in our food, and blocking people online. Having an online presence is like an important thing instead of like having a presence in a room, or there's a lot less important things that shouldn't be important are seeming to take priority over things that like were essential for like survival. So anyways, we go out. He didn't he was a little nervous, so we didn't end up going out to the bars until like 12:30. We finally got into a bar, and we found two girls. I introduced myself and like said, "Hey, what's up, guys? What you doing?" They were both like young 21-year-olds, and then he was like 21, but he just like uh, it was just such a foreign thing to him. He was I don't want to pick on him, but it was just like he was a fish out of water. He was like, "Dude, what did you say? How'd you talk to these? What did you say to these girls? Like, how did that work?" And you can just I see that everywhere. I went to like California. I lived in California, not California. I lived in Reno, and I would go out and I'd go to like California, or I'd go to Tahoe, or I'd go out to the bars in Reno, and I just bring my dog, and I'm hitting on girls, and I'm getting their numbers, and these guys are like, "What did you say to her? Oh my god, how did you get her number?" It was like a fucking magic trick talking to these, like, to see these younger guys see a person get a girl's number over like on the bar, and that I think that's like a sign of something else. I was looking at statistics for OnlyFans, and OnlyFans gained 1,022% of their audience after COVID. All their users came in from 2019 to 2023. They gained 1,022% of their users, which is like over 10x user base fluctuation. And if you're like thinking you're talking to, if like the generation behind me is like just thinking they're texting some girl on a OnlyFans account, which sometimes it's AI, sometimes it's like a guy, sometimes it's most likely not even a girl, and and the relationship you get that way is just a customer versus a client, and it's not a there's no base of love or intimacy or fun. People got to figure out how to like have fun again, and it's scary generationally. Like if this is the top talent right here in Austin, and these people are like, oops, these people are like not able to figure out how to have fun or be themselves or just like establish a family or a world that they want for their children, it's gonna be hard. I'm probably gonna let my dog in here for a second. Give me a second. This is my dog, Shamu. She was whining a little bit, so I wanted to show him I'm doing all right. Uh, anyways, this whole idea of approaching girls, it doesn't have to be called red pill or whatever the hell, but there's a reason it exists, and it doesn't. You don't need to be thinking everything's just black pill, red pill, matrix. Uh, you know, just fried brain movies are truth. Life. You need to put your put your feet in the soil and kind of like experience reality sometimes. Like looking at a screen, looking at life through a small little 6-inch window on your hand is not the same as like immersing yourself in it. It like there is an element of like including millennials and maybe even Gen X where we have a lot more self awareness than the previous generations, than like baby boomers and stuff, and that's because we have like phones and we have cameras and we have all this um, ability to see things from a different perspective than our own eyes that baby boomers just simply couldn't grasp onto or couldn't uh, really see the same way that Gen Zs or Gen Alphas do. And there's a good and bad uh, thing for that, right? There's a good and bad take from that. So one take is we have a lot of self awareness. We're able to kind of see how we're perceived. And then Shimu, hey, get down, Shimu. And then the other part is you're always worried about how people are judging you, and that can kind of stop you. That can like give you, to use an old phrase, analysis paralysis. It makes you paralyzed and makes you scared to be judged or scared to like take a chance on something that maybe you don't even know if you'd feel good. You might feel good doing it if you went out and tried it, like skydiving. Hey, Shimo, you gotta calm down if you're gonna be in here. Yeah, so it's hard and scary. but like that's life, dude. That is just that's how life goes. You have to be able to roll the dice sometimes. You have to be able to, live certain ways that might be different to some people and might be judged by some people because of it. And you just can't care. You can't care about those people. People that worry about a rumor about you or some sort of like they think they know you because they saw one instance of you doing something one night for like 5 minutes. That can be that can be hard to uh, to wrestle with if you've never wrestled with it before. But you just need to know that you're not being. That's not like how the whole game works. That's not how you get judged. You get judged by what kind of impact you put into the world, what kind of impact you put into your family, what kind of impact you put into the culture, how you want to lead people, how you want to follow instructions, how you want to be a team player, how you want to just which side you pick on and it like which side you pick for good like what you think is good and what you want to stand for, it's hard to stand for things when you're not always when you're just analyzing everything and you want to be sure that you're right more than what you feel or what you believe. You can't take your soul out and then your emotion out and then you know your heart, your DNA, your genes. These are all you're all of these things. Your culture, you can't take out all of these things that you stood for, believed in, was raised on just because, somebody judges you for it. And that's kind of hard to grasp or kind of hard to understand, but that seems like where people are headed with, you know, not being able to socialize, not being able to, uh, being scared to have fun. They don't want to. People don't want to drink. People don't want to. They want to do like doctor medication and stuff. And that's not always the answer. And you might get your appetite suppressed, or you might get like bigger muscles or something. But you're not gonna. But your hormones will be completely out of balance before you know it. You're gonna be doing things you can't even control because you know somebody on the internet told you to take more steroids and look more like a fruitcake or whatever. Anyways, that's just a few rants. I have probably have more to say, but um, we did this like last minute, and I kind of lost a lot of my plans, and my dog's freaking out. So till next time, this is my book, Synthesis: The Genesis of Simps. It took me like 4 years to write it. Started right during COVID, and it's been out for 2 years now, and still I'm thinking of doing another one. The title is going to be called Sympatrix, the Matrix of Simps. That will be the sequel. It's going to be about, it's going to be a dystopian novel about the future of people that let the ruling class just be completely dominating the society. And then, you know, people are stuck inside the matrix. But peace out.